So today we'll be getting into some stories with CM Punk explaining what his WWE return would look like, Big E on turning down a WWE request, and much more. Let's start things off with CM Punk. It was reported that AEW had been going after CM Punk since the early days of their existence back in 2019. Like everyone jokes about, Tony Khan and AEW just seem to have unlimited funds, which allows them to go after pretty much anyone they want. That's what led them to go after CM Punk in 2019, who had been retired for a handful of years. CM Punk even mentioned in several interviews that he didn't take the negotiations with AEW that serious at first. They were going back and forth for a bit, but nothing really came out of those talks since they weren't too serious. AEW picked up a lot of big names from that point on, but they never really stopped their journey for CM Punk. It was then reported in mid-2021 that CM Punk had signed with AEW and was officially returning to wrestling. Everyone, understandably, didn't believe the reports at first. After years and years of so many bogus CM Punk return reports, it was expected for fans to be a bit skeptical about a report like this. But like we saw in late summer of 2021, CM Punk returned to wrestling and debuted for AEW in his hometown of Chicago. CM Punk took some shots at WWE before talking about how he was back full-time to wrestling and couldn't wait to wrestle everyone in the back. The most controversial thing that has been the conversation amongst the fans in recent weeks is, of course, CM Punk's usage in AEW. There's even this running joke online amongst some fans that all CM Punk ever does is one of two things. He either does an interview or he's on commentary. And that's been one of the most talked about things involving CM Punk. He has had 5 matches in AEW, for a perfect 5 wins and 0 losses record, but a majority of those wins were all one-off matches, and he has yet to really be a part of any actual feud or storyline. So he's just involved with a handful of random matches, and the matches are great, no doubt about it, but story is really important as well, and that's what the fans are struggling to find here with CM Punk in AEW. You can argue that CM Punk's story and direction is to face as many opponents as possible. That is what he said he was going to do during that first night in AEW. He said he wants to wrestle everyone. So maybe his direction right now is to face as many AEW talents as possible and keep building that win-loss record up. And maybe once he has a big undefeated streak of 15 or 20 matches, then maybe we can start to see some more storylines where that streak will be on the line. The undefeated streak obviously seems to be going somewhere, so maybe that will play a key role in the future of his story. It's because all of this AEW usage talk that some fans have been talking about how special CM Punk's return to WWE could have been. Those fans saying that his return to WWE would have been more than just some random matches, commentary appearances, and random interviews. Well, CM Punk basically responded to those fans during a recent interview with Josh Martinez. CM Punk explained what his return to wrestling would look like if he went back to WWE. He had this to say, quote, "I literally want to wrestle everybody, but I'm telling a specific story here of coming back. Kind of restarting, rekindling my love for pro wrestling. If I went back to WWE, what would I do? There's a formula. There's a track record and a formula. This is what they do. Batista comes back. He wins the Royal Rumble. He main events WrestleMania. Edge comes back. He's in the Royal Rumble. I think he was in it twice. He might have won, I don't know. He goes on the main event, WrestleMania. There's a formula, and I was bored of that 10 years ago. So I'm bored of it now." End quote. So this was a nice response by CM Punk for all of those critics that are just out there judging his AEW usage so far. Punk does have a good point there when he talked about WWE's formula for big returns as well. A big Royal Rumble return followed up by main eventing WrestleMania is basically their default go-to option for huge returns. Like Punk explained, we saw it with Batista, we saw it with Edge, we saw it with John Cena. We've just seen that same return story a countless amount of times. Maybe that's what they even do with Brock Lesnar's return after this current suspension. But CM Punk is saying that had he returned to WWE, that's probably the same old generic return story that he would have gotten over there. He would have returned at Royal Rumble, won the whole thing, and then went on to main event WrestleMania, and that doesn't really interest him. He also explained his AEW usage and direction. Punk is coming into the company as a big name, but it's basically a fresh start for him. He wants it to be like a blank canvas and a full fresh start. So he's not debuting in AEW and entering the world title scene right away. No, not at all. His story is to start new, start from the bottom of the card, and work again all the way to the top of the card. That's Punk's explanation for his usage right now, and it's a great explanation. That's the story he's telling. He's basically looking at himself as new talent, as if everything he did before AEW doesn't exist, and he has to prove himself here from the bottom to the top. So, for everyone asking about what Punk's story is, that seems to be the answer from the man himself. He's starting over, starting new, starting from the bottom and trying to climb back up to the top and prove himself once again. So we'll see how Punk's story continues to unfold and if he will make it into the title scene in the future. Are you enjoying CM Punk on AEW right now? Big E has made it to the top of WWE as WWE champion, and once again, he's a fresh face in the world title picture, so that's always nice to see. It's actually been a few fresh faces as WWE champion over the last year and a half. We had Drew McIntyre as a fresh world champion, Bobby Lashley, and now Big E. So 3 fresh faces in the world title picture, one after the other. So that's a great trend to see, and hopefully it continues. We now officially know that Big E's first real rival as WWE champion will be Seth Rollins. Seth is an absolute perfect rival for Big E, the perfect heel to go against the new WWE champion. Seth Rollins is obviously a pretty dark heel. We saw what he put Edge through, entering his home and all that. So he's just the perfect bad guy for Big E to take out during his first actual feud for the title. It'll be a great story, no doubt about it. We saw the great story they told between Edge and Seth, so we could expect to see another great story here. But it should be a fairly easy win for Big E. He should come out of this feud successful and walk out of it still WWE champion. Speaking of E, he was recently a guest on the popular Breakfast Club Power 105.1 radio show in New York. Big E discussed a handful of topics, even including a story on how he turned down a pretty ridiculous pitch from WWE. Big E had this to say about what he turned down. Quote, "Nothing too crazy. Years ago, they asked me if I could do a peck dance. A dude called Chris Masters used to pop his pecs rhythmically, and I do a lot of silly nonsense, but I was like, I ain't trying to do all that." So Big E is a fun all-around character, but even that was pushing it a bit too far for him, and he had to turn that pitch down. But he's now at the start of his WWE title reign, so we'll see what WWE has planned for him this time around. What are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.